right. So I'm here with, say your name for,
Joe Baldassari.
okay. And what is your occupation?
I'm an attorney, and I am also the vice president of A Baby's Breath.
Okay. So that means you sit on the board?
Yes, I sit on the corporate board, and I'm also on the independence board.
Okay. And how long have you been with A Baby's Breath?
Since its beginning. In fact, I was the lawyer that filed the paperwork for the creation of the company back, or the nonprofit back in 2000, year 2000.
How much paperwork is it for a nonprofit on average?
Well, the
a
initial
year?
creation is pretty easy. It's very few documents that have to be filed. There's a certificate of organization, and there's some other documents that go with that. But or articles of incorporation in our case, because we're a corporation. But we also had to file for tax exempt status so that we could collect tax deductible donations, which is a 501c3 application. We went through that. That's a lot more paperwork. Today, a lot less so, but back then it was like a stack of pages that you had to complete with various information, a lot of predictions about what we expected to collect as an organization, which we were going on really no history, so it was somewhat difficult, but that was successful, and we did get our 501c3 designation back in 2000.
So you kind of sit as the retainer lawyer for A Baby's Breath then?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer legal questions that come up with our participants or our board. Sometimes I have to go out and find the answers because I don't have them all, but I know where to find them usually. And I'll get a lot of questions from directors of our various centers. I'll get questions from advocates trying to help a client of ours, legal questions and things like that. And I try to help with those questions when they come up.
Okay. And you have a family?
Yes, I have my wife, and we'll be married 40 years next May.
Nice.
And I have two children, my son Michael, who's 33, and my daughter Sam, who's 31, and she just had her first child a couple months ago, and she's been a independence board coordinator for our organization for the last 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And you have a brother, John.
I have a brother, John, yeah, and he's helpful because he does so much for the golf outing, which raises money for our independence program. I have a brother, Phil, who's also a big contributor to A Baby's Breath and all its causes. And I have an oldest brother, Jim, but he's less involved with the Baby's Breath, but he's been to our golf outing on occasion.
Okay. So I guess how much time do you think The Baby's Breath takes out of your week?
It's not a lot because so many people on the front line are taking care of the most important, significant part of the organization. Certainly not like Karen and what she devotes to the organization. So it may be a few hours, maybe 5 to 10 hours a month, perhaps, if that. Some months are even less than that because Karen really does shoulder a lot of the burden. And like I said, our frontline people just do an amazing job.
Okay. So you don't feel like it's deprived you of your livelihood?
Oh, not at all. And in fact, it's enhanced a lot of, the purpose that that I became a lawyer for, to do something for a good cause. And there's no greater cause than life.
Put that on a t-shirt.
No, it's true. I mean, I firmly believe that. I think it's the human rights issue of our time. And until we get it right, we're not going to be right. We're not going to be in good shape.
Okay. And you were one of the few starting members on the board from the very beginning, so you must have had a vision that this is what the organization was going to be, right?
Absolutely not. Your mom had a vision. Karen had a vision of how it was going to be, and I leave the vision to her, and I try to help where I can. But she conceived of the way this was going to go, and I'm not even sure at that time she would say that she conceived it. But she never looked at it like it was going to be. She never looked at it from a limiting standpoint. Like when she confronted an issue, and we've had many, it was always resolved in a way that really kind of expanded our reach. And that's what's been so good, like the housing center or the 5 centers that we have or the independence program, even that. I remember sitting around a table at Panera with one guy, Karen and me, and we were coming up with this idea, or she came up with the idea of an independence program, and we kind of fleshed it out there. And it's evolved over time, but that was the the seeds that were planted at that point in that little 3-person meeting.
So just from a little talking came to a big lead into a different direction for the organization.
Yeah, much different direction, because Karen always wanted to focus on the idea that we don't want to be dependent on government assistance as an organization, and we don't want our participants to be dependent on government input to get on their own feet, and how enriching that is for somebody's life to say, I did this. I worked hard to get here. And the Independence Program just rewards people for taking steps toward their own independence. And that's the beauty of the program. It's not like, we're just throwing money at somebody, say, okay, you need this, we'll get this. No, you earn the money. You can say, I did this. And there's certainly something that comes from an accomplishment like that.
Okay. What type of clients do you think you've helped the most with the independence?
Well, certainly the participants in the Independence Program. We've had a couple of just stellar candidates in our Independence Program. One lady started her own businesses, 2 businesses. She does staffing of bars, or catering programs. And she also started a cleaning business that's thriving. Both of these businesses are thriving, and she did this out of our program. So she was always really motivated, but we kind of helped her along to get to where she was. And she did graduate from the program, and last year she gave a presentation at the golf outing about how the program helped her get to where she is.
Okay, so you see the fruits of your sacrifice. Is that what you try to accomplish every time you come in Baby's Breath? So your long-term goal?
Well, I don't always look at it as a sacrifice for me, because I see so many other people in the organization that put so much more time in it than I do, and so much more investment of themselves in it. But certainly I love to see the fruits of the labor of the people in our front line, Karen and all of our advocates, and all the people that are donations coordinators, and the people that are GMs at our various centers, and the people in the housing program, and our house mom, and all that they do for the people in our programs. It's just really rewarding.
Do you feel like, since you're a lawyer, do you feel like the definition of abortion, to try and not just overturn it, but to abolish it from the minds, is it a real struggle in the legal system?
Absolutely. I think when we look back on these times, because I'm always thinking at some point something's going to kick in and really make us realize how wrong we've been in defining abortion as a bodily rights issue, as opposed to the issue of preserving the infinite dignity that goes with each person, And if you look at it from that way, I think eventually, hopefully, things will change. I always think back to the issue, and people hate when you compare it to the slavery issue, but there's so many parallels there about when you can define a human as something other than human, you can do anything you darn well please to them. And when you're in that part of a society, well, who's to say who's not going to be inside the protection of humanity next? We have a situation with people at the end of life. Maybe they're not so human anymore because they can't do this, that, and the other thing. And perhaps, and we've seen societies that do this. When you dehumanize somebody, you can do anything you want to them, even kill them. And we have to stop that. If you're human, you're entitled to protection. That's my view. And hopefully at some point our society will reflect that.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Kind of try to promote the culture with the mindset that it's changing your perspective on life, not changing the definition so much.
I think it's so much a perspective, because if you really close your eyes really tight, it doesn't change anything. It's still an individual with infinite dignity and value. Just because you put your fingers in your ears and you close your eyes real tight doesn't change that reality. It's there. And all you have to do is hopefully be invited to open your eyes, open your ears, and see that. And maybe someday you'll realize that we're not talking about just a choice that only affects one person.
Has your time in A Baby's Breath been successful?
Yeah. Well, I I view success as being faithful to the cause. And so, yes, I think we are faithful to the cause. I think Karen always outlined this in the most clear way, that no matter what we do, we're not counting noses. We're not saying, oh, we saved X number of babies. We are being faithful to the cause. We're being faithful to the teachings of the church. And just by being faithful, I view that as success. And we've had great many successes as other people might define it in terms of babies saved or women coming out of dire situations and saving, being with their baby and having a family. So when you say, have we been successful? I think resoundingly yes, because we've been faithful.
Okay. What would you say, now your profession, would you say it leans in the direction of being pro-life?
You even know that answer already before you ask the question.
Well, I could ask the same to a nurse.
Have you really?
Say,
Yeah. No, yeah. I think the answer would probably be the same. Sadly, I think, and there's different areas of law. Okay, so I do some trial work and that kind of thing, and so the trial lawyers are sadly very, very significantly against us in this as organizations go, which is really sad because...
Why is that, you think?
Yeah, I think because it's a more political thing than anything else anymore. And they've forgotten, I think it goes back to that perspective thing, because they see from their perspective, they're fighting for the rights of this woman. And they don't look past that and change their perspective to see that someone else is involved. And so they fight really hard for the woman going through a pregnancy, but they forget about, who else is involved. And I think oftentimes, with these organizations, they take their lead from, their management or upper echelon people, and they just happen to feel differently about the life issue because I think they've stopped thinking. And when you think about trial lawyers, their entire existence from the beginning was to fight for the little guy. And here they're really dropping the ball because they're fighting against the little guy and calling themselves advocates.
Yeah, that's what a true statement, I guess, that most people feel in their own hearts is like, wish the people would represent me better if I believed in life, but
yeah,
even the trial for Jesus wasn't fair, so
right,
why would the trial for life be fair?
That's so true. That's absolutely right, and I think it's a sad reality, but it's something that we can work through and do our best to try to change the mindset and try to approach each person in that circumstance in such a way that makes it less likely they'll incline to do something really bad.
So last question I'll ask you, someone who's coming up as a lawyer and they want to help pro-life, what's one word of advice you would give them?
Well, get involved, first of all. Find local organizations that need legal help. They used to have the Pro-Life Lawyers Guild. I don't even know if it's still together. It was an organization in Philadelphia that I joined when I first became a lawyer in the late 80s. And those kind of organizations can make a difference, and there's a lot of lawyers that still believe in life, even though the largest organization is against us, there's a significant number of lawyers that will fight for life. And so you look for those kind of organizations to become a part of, or go to a crisis pregnancy center and say, hey, I'm here. Can I help you? I mean, they always need some kind of legal advice, Do
you have any legal counsel for people who are fighting for their life of interest? Say that they're a father whose wife is considering, and they get heavily influenced by, say, the parents who have no reason to want the life to exist.
Yeah.
Do they have legal recourse?
Yeah, I'm sad to say I don't believe that a man in that circumstance under current law has much of anything to say about it, unfortunately, because of the way things have come down. But that doesn't mean you don't try, I guess. I've not ever been involved in a case like that where we were actually filing some kind of petition to stop an abortion on behalf of a father, because I think the law, the way it's written, does not even permit that, doesn't even give us an opportunity to step in that way. But yeah, I don't know that there's a legal remedy right now for somebody in that extremely horrible situation.
Yeah, it's just a horrible hypothetical. But if there was someone who, wanted to start themselves in the into the degree of law, or find, where can I get a pro-life representation? Where would they start?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if the Pro-Life Lawyers Guild is still an organization that's active, but I'm sure if you looked online, you'll find pro-life lawyers who maybe you could join up with or offer your services to, maybe offer to do some research, do it, whatever you can to help them in whatever case they're handling for the cause at the time.
Okay. How'd you golf today?
I was with really good golfers. That's what I'll say.
You had a good
Thank
team.
God. Yeah,
That's what lawyers always say.
My
I had
team
a
was
good team.
awesome. But there's always one on the team that's not contributing, and that happened to be me. But that's okay. That's all right. I enjoyed watching some good golf.
If anyone hurt themselves on the course, they'd have good
That's right.
representation.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Well, thank you, John. Or thank you, Joe.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate you stepping out and doing this interview.
I appreciate your asking questions. Thanks so much, Jared.
Well,
Best
have
of
a
luck
good
to
rest
you.
of your day.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.